Tonight, an early morning joyride leaves a 13-year-old boy with life-altering injuries.
They said they're trying to save his leg. That's what they told my wife this morning.
The SIU is investigating after two teenage boys driving an SUV run from police and smash into a fuel truck. Plus,
and it's just person after person, and they're stepping over the wires to look at the view.
A Toronto City Councillor wants daredevils to foot the bill for rescues at the Scarborough Bluffs. And the Toronto Raptors return home a week away from the season opener, looking for back-to-back championship titles. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. Two 13-year-olds' lives are forever changed after an early morning joyride and a violent car crash early this morning in North York. And now the province's police watchdog is investigating after it says police tried to pull the vehicle over before the crash. Now here's what we know what happened according to the Special Investigations Unit. Just before 5 o'clock this morning, a York police officer spotted an SUV with the two teens inside in the area of Dufferin and Centre Street. Now when the officer tried to stop them, they fled from the scene. Shortly after, the SIU collided with a tanker truck near Dufferin and Finch. That's where it slammed into a GO Transit bus. Now, the passenger was taken to hospital with serious injuries to his leg. His family telling us he may lose it. The SUV belongs to that boy's father. He told us today the boys stole the keys from his jacket pocket.
The key was in my jacket, in the jacket bag. I forgot it last night in my jacket. I never left it in my jacket. First time this happened.
Now, the driver was not injured. He was taken into custody and may be facing charges. And we're learning more details tonight about a horrific hit and run that left 3 people seriously injured over the weekend, including a 20-month-old baby. Police put out a warrant for the man they believe was driving the car, a 34-year-old man. They're also on the hunt for 2 others. Farah Morelli has more from the scene.
Police say the driver of this vehicle's name is Derek D'Souza. He's someone who is known to them. There's now a warrant out for his arrest. He's one of 4 people in total that police are looking for with regard to this crash. Now, to take you back, it happened here on Sunday just before 11 a.m. Police say a 2015 Dodge Journey was traveling eastbound on Ellesmere when it did not stop at that red light behind me. It mounted the curb and actually hit 3 people on the sidewalk, a 57-year-old woman, her 37-year-old daughter, and the daughter's 20-month-old baby. Now, after that, police say the 2 people in the vehicle got out, took a look around. One fled on foot, and the other continued to drive. And it wouldn't be until the next day that police were actually able to locate that vehicle. It was found abandoned nearly 7 kilometers away near St. Clair Avenue East and O'Connor. Now, I want to pull up some photographs to show you that police have released. The man you're looking at here in the black jacket and khaki pants is believed to have run away on foot from the car. We don't know who he is, but he was in that car. And this next photo you see here of a man in a red cap is who police believe abandoned the vehicle. This is security camera image footage that police released late yesterday. Again, we don't know who either is, but to sum up, police are looking for the 2 men in those photos and a 3rd person of interest. As for the victims, as I mentioned, this was a mother and daughter and a 20-month-old baby. We know that baby's name is Daniel, and over the weekend, we had a chance to speak to his father. He didn't want to speak to us on camera or show his face, but what he did tell us is that his wife and mother-in-law were taken to Sunnybrook to be treated for serious injuries, and his 20-month-old son was taken to Sick Kids, where he's now recovering.
As bad as it is this is as good as it gets. He was hit by a vehicle while he was in a stroller. The stroller was a wreck, and he was thrown from the stroller in the collision, and he has a little bit of a head injury, but it's not too bad, and it looks like he's going to be okay.
Brent says his wife suffered a broken leg, his mother-in-law some bruising as well as an injury to her wrist. He is now pleading with the people involved in this crash to come forward, saying this could have been a whole lot worse. Farah Morelli, CBC News, Toronto.
And it's taken some time, but a 54-year-old Brampton man is now facing charges after a 3-vehicle crash sent 3 people and a baby to hospital. Now, this happened almost 8 weeks ago at the intersection of Bay and College. Police say the man was driving a Toyota SUV and ran a red light, hitting the 4 pedestrians. At the time, Uber confirmed the man was a driver with the company and removed his access to the app. The driver is now facing charges of 2 counts of dangerous operation causing bodily harm. Now that the dust has settled after CUPE struck a last-minute deal with the province earlier this month, the union representing secondary school teachers is looking to do the same, but say they are being met with some difficulty.
It's somewhat encouraging that the government seemed there to recognize the importance of the services that these staff members provide to students. What's really discouraging is that they haven't responded the same way at our table, so they are leveraging students' educational experiences against our bargaining table in a way that I think should be really disconcerting for parents and students themselves.
The Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation says for months the province has failed to respond to any of their proposals, leaving them no choice but to begin the process of conducting strike votes with its 60,000 members. Voting will start a week from today, and a decision will be expected by November 15th. Colette Kennedy's here with the first look at the forecast. I know we have to deal with rain tomorrow, but after waking up this morning, I thought it might be snow.
Yeah, we had some cool temperatures this morning. It took a little while to get going, and then what a beautiful afternoon. And that's kind of the calm before this storm that's moving in, bringing rain with it. So we'll see that rain moving in overnight tonight, getting quite heavy towards tomorrow morning. So the morning commute may be a little bit rough, and you'll need some extra time. Then towards the afternoon, it becomes more scattered, showery activity and starts to ease off a little bit, but the winds will be ramping up, and we're actually going to see a couple of days with some breezy conditions. Not so bad on Wednesday, but getting certainly much windier as we go into Thursday, and they're going to change directions too and get cooler. So daytime highs today, actually, we're just going to find the temperature dropping a few degrees from where we were earlier today. Not much of a change with the system moving in. It's the rain that you'll notice. So some heavier amounts there. See that around 6 a.m. kind of pushing through. Then a little bit of a break, and then some more coming through late morning, and then it gets more into some scattery showers as we go into the afternoon, and maybe even some breaks beginning to develop, sunny breaks late afternoon. But there's more to come with this system, and I'm going to walk you through the whole thing and just how much rainfall we're going to see a little later in the show. For now, no, there's your overnight temperature again. Very little change that we'll be seeing, and those winds getting pretty blustery, Mike.
Okay, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Toronto has a spotty record when it comes to preserving its history. Case in point, long before Ottawa was made capital, Toronto was home to Upper Canada's first purpose-built Parliament buildings. The site is near the Distillery District, but good luck trying to find it. There's nothing on the patch of land to commemorate its past. But as Taylor Simmons tells us, the city is working on a plan to change that.
The southwest corner of Front and Parliament looks pretty ordinary. It houses a rental car shop, a car wash, and a parking lot. Little do passers-by know, the first and second Parliament buildings of Upper Canada, now Ontario, sat right here.
Isn't that crazy? It's here?
I had no idea.
Really? Yeah. Where'd it go?
The answer? Underground. The 2 brick buildings went up in the 1700s, burning down twice before Parliament eventually moved. In 2000, a team of archaeologists unearthed bits of the site's past, from charred wood to bricks to ceramics. And even though the land is now in public hands, it sat mostly untouched. Tonight, dozens came out to give their say as the city creates a master plan for the area.
The objective right now is to say, don't do anything, rash with it. Don't sell it for condominium use. I think we need to really take a look at, what is worthy of being built on this particular site.
The city has already committed to a library. The rest is up to the imagination.
Maybe a mural or something, so new people to Canada take a bit of history in.
I'd like to see an interpretive centre come museum as part of the library building.
The space is the size of Nathan Phillips Square.
While honouring the site's history, many in the area are also asking for green space.
When you look at the amount of development in this area, it's been quite substantial, say, in just the last 10 years alone. So now not only do we need the district library, but we also need any parkland we can get.
The community also wants to acknowledge the Indigenous use of the land, as well as a former jail and a gas plant that once stood on the site.
We don't have a lot of historical buildings left in the city, and if there is a way for us to repurpose that site and give it real cultural significance, I think we can turn it into a world-class visitor destination.
The master plan for the space is expected to be complete next winter. Taylor Simmons, CBC News, Toronto.
They're big, they're beautiful, and last year, more than a dozen people got stuck climbing them. So should thrill seekers be footing the bill for their own rescue on the Scarborough Bluffs? I'm City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly, and I'll have that story coming up.
This is a look at a collision on Highway 401 near Islington. It happened just after 10 o'clock tonight. OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt says a passenger vehicle slammed into the back of a transport truck. The driver, a man in his 30s, was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries. All westbound collector lanes of the 401 are closed at Highway 400. They are expected to remain closed for several hours, although express lanes are open. Well, thrill seekers take note. Some city officials want to bring in a new policy. If you get stuck on the Scarborough Bluffs trying to take that perfect selfie and you need a rescue, we may get stuck with a bill. City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly explains.
You can't miss the warning signs, but still, every year, thrill seekers get stuck climbing up or down the Scarborough Bluffs. That means emergency workers get tied up rescuing them.
And it's just person after person, and the wires are here, and they're stepping over the wires to look at the view.
That Scarborough councillor wants those daredevils to foot the bill for rescue efforts. He says the danger is well known and very real.
And you could be standing on an overhang, not knowing it's an overhang because you can't see the part below you that gets eaten out, and over you go.
The bluffs run for 15 kilometers, and the escarpment rises 90 meters at its highest point. Over the last decade, at least 2 people have died going over the edge, and so far this year, at least 1 person has been rescued. Last year was even worse, with 16 rescues in total. Those operations tied up more than 400 emergency workers who logged around 380 hours of work using more than 120 vehicles. And the cost of all that effort to the city?
It would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars now.
Sign-abiding bluff-goers don't seem to want their cash paying those bills.
And then it does cost taxpayer monies to rescue these people.
I think that's just not fair for people who deliberately disobey those warning signs, right?
I think it's legal for them to be charged for the rescue.
Meanwhile, the mayor says
the behavior is inexcusable, it's dumb, it's stupid, it's inconsiderate, but I'm told by the professionals that if you said to people one of the consequences when you get in trouble on the Scarborough Bluffs will be to get a huge bill, that may cause people not to call. And at least when they get in trouble, if they're that dumb, they should call and get help and you know, we just hope people stop doing it.
Amid all that debate, it'll be an uphill climb for the councillor's idea to get approved. First up, it'll be discussed at the city's Economic Committee meeting tomorrow. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
You might remember Monty the Python. He went missing the day the Raptors won their first NBA championship, and then the family thought they found him, but it was an imposter snake. I'm Tally Ricci, and coming up, we have the latest twist in the tale of Monty's adventures.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
The Leafs hosting the Wild tonight. Minnesota has the lead in the first, but Toronto explodes in the second. John Tavares off the sideboards right there, rips the puck in, the second of the season. Later on, Leafs on a power play. Much Marner on the top there. Cuts to the middle, sneaks the shot in. Leafs up 2-1. Then just 72 seconds later, Marner would miss the net. Watch the shot bounce off, and then back in front. Andreas Johnson whacks it in. Marner would then get his third point of the period with a slap pass to Austin Matthews, who bangs in his 7th of the season. Leafs hold on to win 4-2, and they'll fly to Washington to play the Capitals tomorrow night. And we're now just 1 week away from the start of another Raptors season. Of course, this year will be unlike any other because the Raps come in as the defending champs. Now, after spending the first 2 weeks of training camp in Quebec and Japan, the team was back at the OVO Center today. Greg Ross caught up with them.
It was the first time the Raptors held a full practice in Toronto since the start of training camp.
It's good to be back home.
Fred VanVleet's sentiments are shared by many of his teammates who now have a week to settle in and get ready for the new season. The Raptors play their home opener next Tuesday against the New Orleans Pelicans, the first official game since this.
Canada, the NBA title is yours!
While Tuesday's game won't generate the same buzz in the city as last year's championship, there are plans for one more celebration to commemorate the Raptors' first ever title.
That's when I really feel is when the banner is raised and we put the rings on.
The Raptors have been very tight-lipped about what their championship rings will look like, but Nick Nurse says he has a pretty good idea.
I mean, those things are
they're like pieces of furniture. You know, they're not really rings. They're so big these days.
It won't be just the team receiving rings on opening night. The Raptors plan to give replica rings to any fans lucky enough to have a ticket to be inside. And outside the arena, the team will host its first tailgate party since winning the title. And once again, thousands of fans are expected to be out here in Jurassic Park to watch that pregame ceremony.
It's going to be cool. I think obviously it's kind of the last kind of moment to celebrate, and it's a big one.
Two key players who helped bring a winning attitude to the Raptors will be absent from that celebration.
Is this the dagger?
Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green have both left, but the Raptors say the confidence and swagger has not.
Knowing that we know what it takes, knowing that we're good enough to do it, and you know, just having a different approach of attacking the season, you know, for the long run.
There will be more emotional nights to come. Leonard will make his return to Toronto with the Clippers on December 11th, which is when he'll likely receive his ring, and Green and the Lakers come to town in March. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Colette is here with her extended forecast. I know, Colette, you've got weather totals in the background there. Today is a very significant day in terms of weather history for Toronto, probably the most significant weather event ever to hit the GTA.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. This is the 65th anniversary of Hurricane Hazel, and you can even just get an idea of that when I show you the record rain for this date in history, 121.4 millimeters. That's not all the rain that was seen as that storm system. It moved in the evening hours of the 15th, but it really pretty much stalled over the Toronto area, led to 81 deaths, most of those around the GTA as well. But it was significant for other reasons because we started changing the way we think about rain runoff and watersheds around the GTA and how we were going to organize ourselves so that when things like this came along, that we would be able to manage it and manage some of the flooding. So it was really, really important for that reason as well in terms of our weather history here. I want to show you, here we go, a system moving in, nothing like that in terms of what we have to deal with the rainfall amounts, but there's going to be some significant and heavier rains towards tomorrow morning. So this area of low pressure moves in. We get into some of the heavier bands coming through towards the early morning hours as we go into Wednesday, carrying on 8 a.m. still there, still moving eastward, and then into the afternoon getting into more showery activity, but the winds getting stronger as well. So the winds become quite blustery. They'll be turning towards the southwest. But did you see what happened here? The energy actually transferred from this system that's moving through and having an impact on us to an area of low pressure, a nor'easter along the eastern seaboard, which then, because it's so strong and close enough by, will continue to give us windy conditions into Thursday, and we'll get into a northwesterly flow, which will be quite cool, but it's also going to keep things unstable for us. So still a chance of some showers, even as we get past Wednesday into Thursday, even a little bit into Friday as well. Although the larger impact from the system will certainly be over towards New York State and the eastern seaboard through the U.S. So our outlook by the time we get towards tomorrow evening is things will be kind of tapering off and lighter in intensity. But before that, we may see 20 to 30 millimeters of rainfall. And again, the heaviest bands tomorrow towards the morning hours. These are some of the wind gusts associated, over 50 kilometers an hour that we'll be talking about. They get a little lighter Wednesday night and then quite a bit stronger as we go into Thursday, and that's when they turn towards a cooler direction as well. These are your temperatures. Very little change in temperatures until tomorrow. They'll be actually falling into southwestern Ontario. You're going to see lighter precipitation through here, and temperatures again through the GTA. Not a lot of change that we're going to be seeing, a degree or two in terms of what happens, and then a look at how long that system is going to have that impact. So Thursday, still looking at windy conditions, 40% chance of showers, even Friday, 30% chance. Most would like it gone for the weekend, and it does look like by then, Mike, it will have moved on.
Glad to see we'll get rid of it by then. Thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
Remember that story about that python named Monty who went missing? He was thought to be found, but then that snake turned out to be an imposter? Well, the real Monty has turned up where he's been hiding after the break. Remember Monty the Python? Not the classic British comedy troupe, but that elusive snake from Scarborough. It went missing, only to get involved in a case of mistaken identity. Well, now the real Monty has been found, and as Talia Ricci explains, the sneaky snake was hiding right under his family's nose.
My son went down to the basement to find something, and he screamed and came running up the stairs, "Snake, snake!"
Nose to nose with Monty the Python, a sight that surprised the entire family.
We had a hunting camera set up downstairs, so in case he moved around at night, the camera would take pictures of him so we could try to track him. We tried snake charmer music. So yeah, he was hiding in a cabinet in the basement.
The family almost gave up. They even threw out his frozen rats. And then a glimmer of hope. Back in July, someone called about a snake found in a nearby sewer grate. They thought it was Monty, but it was a different python.
Come on, Petey. Well, we named that snake Sneaky Pete. I was just sure that was Monty because I would be surprised if there were so many or another missing python in the neighborhood.
They had him for about a week, but had to give him back to Animal Services, who, by the way, have responded to 34 stray snake calls since 2017. When Monty was found, he was a little cold and hungry. Has he lost weight since he's been...
He is smaller.
Fair enough. It's been 4 months since he's had a meal. But one snake expert tells us he's not surprised by Monty's survival skills.
They do go dormant. I'm sure he just sort of tucked away in a place, you know, and went dormant. And they don't expend much energy. They don't do much, therefore they don't eat much. And I always tell people just not to give up hope because they can be, you know, right beneath your nose.
How are you feeling that Monty has been reunited with the family once and for all?
Well, we're all happy. I'm very happy to know it's not loose in the house somewhere. We'll make sure that we get the cage locked so it won't escape again. It's likely moving to Guelph, though, because my son's at University of Guelph. So.
Starting the next chapter of this python story, Monty goes to school. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
And now for something completely different. Another big interview on Q tomorrow. Julie Andrews. She'll share some of her favorite things from her Hollywood career with Tom Power. He'll also see if she can still say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious backwards. I can barely fit that on the auto cue. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. on CBC Radio 1. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Good night.